Anne Heche once shocked America with her bold choices in love, career, and her unconventional lifestyle. She wasn't just an actress. She was a woman who constantly challenged every social norm. Then, a mysterious car crash tragically ended her life in controversy. These rare photos and untold stories will make you question what was really hiding behind the spotlight. Watch till the end to uncover secrets that have never been revealed before. Anne Heche was born on May 25, 1969, in Aurora, Ohio, the youngest of 5 children in the family of Donald, Don, Joe Heche, and Nancy Heche. To outsiders, the Heche family appeared to be a model Christian household, a father singing in the church choir, a devout mother, and well-behaved children. But behind closed doors, something much darker was hiding. From a young age, Anne lived in constant fear. The monster in the closet for her wasn't a childhood myth. It was real. Her father, Donald, was a troubled and unstable man who couldn't hold a steady job, always chasing hopeless get-rich-quick schemes. Every failure meant another move, another cramped motel room, another uncertain tomorrow. Anne once recalled that at one point, her family was evicted and had to live in a tiny room provided by a church family. Amid the poverty and chaos, little Anne dreamed of someday standing on stage. To help make ends meet, she waited tables at a dinner bar, not just to survive, but to escape the suffocating atmosphere and terrifying secrets of her home. Tragedy struck when Anne was just 13. Her father died of complications from AIDS, a death that stirred whispers in their conservative town. But the pain ran deeper than the loss itself. Years later, on Larry King Live, Anne revealed the truth. Her father had been a closeted gay man leading a reckless double life. He was a very free person, and we knew that, she said. Yet his freedom became the chains of her childhood, a world where guilt, shame, and fear intertwined. The second blow came 3 years later, when her 18-year-old brother was killed in a car crash. A tragedy many saw as a haunting omen for the turbulent fate that would follow Anne for the rest of her life. Anne needed a way out of her tragic family history. At 16, fortune finally found her. During a school play, a talent scout spotted her and invited her to New York to audition for As the World Turns. The shy girl from Ohio revealed a natural gift for acting, and the stage lights became a glimpse of freedom. But her devout Christian mother vehemently opposed it, believing Hollywood to be the kingdom of sin, and demanded that Anne finish high school first. But Anne was exhausted, tired of poverty, of secrets, of empty prayers. At 18, she took control of her destiny. "Send me the ticket. I'm getting on the plane," she said. "I was living with my mom in a crummy one-bedroom apartment and I'd had enough." Later, she would admit that leaving home wasn't just about chasing her acting dream. It was about escaping a mother who had turned a blind eye to her father's sins. Once in New York, Anne began her climb through the brutal world of show business. Her ethereal beauty and fiery energy made her stand out immediately. Her dual role in Another World earned her a Daytime Emmy nomination, her first real breakthrough. Yet in the years that followed, she struggled to shed her soap star image. Then, in 1997, her big break arrived. She was cast in Donnie Brasco alongside Johnny Depp. Though a supporting role, Anne's performance captured everyone's attention. The screenwriter later admitted, "If I could rewrite the script, I'd give Anne more scenes." She wasn't just beautiful. Her eyes carried a depth of pain and defiance that only someone who had survived hell could convey. In her 2001 memoir, Call Me Crazy, Anne described a period in her life when she could no longer tell what was real and what was imagined. While filming Donnie Brasco with Johnny Depp, she began hearing what she called the voice of God. But it wasn't a gentle whisper of comfort or prayer. This voice told her that she was the physical embodiment of God himself, as well as the reincarnation of Jesus Christ. Inside Anne's mind, three entities often conversed: herself, God, and a second self she called Celestia. She believed she had been chosen for a divine mission: to enlighten humanity and spread the message of unconditional love. Paradoxically, while these voices could have destroyed her sanity, Anne's career was soaring. After Donnie Brasco, she landed a lead role opposite Harrison Ford in 6 Days, 7 Nights, a massive step forward. But just before filming began, Touchstone Pictures abruptly fired her. The reason wasn't her cosmic declarations. It was because she appeared publicly on the red carpet with her then-girlfriend, Ellen DeGeneres. Hollywood wasn't ready for a high-profile lesbian couple like Anne and Ellen. The studio deemed the relationship unmarketable and feared it would hurt box office sales. But Harrison Ford refused to accept that. He personally chose Anne for the role, rejecting even megastars like Meg Ryan and Julia Roberts. Ford stood his ground and demanded that the studio rehire her, and they did. Yet the damage was done. The media storm that followed turned Anne into a Hollywood outcast. From then on, her career began to decline, not because of lack of talent, but because of prejudice. Major studios shut their doors, labeling her a public risk for conservative audiences. Still, in 1998, she appeared in two significant projects: Return to Paradise and Psycho, alongside Vince Vaughn. And it was on those sets that new rumors began to swirl. Although Anne and Ellen seemed inseparable, whispers spread through Hollywood that Anne was still attracted to men. Some colleagues claimed her love scenes with Vince Vaughn were too real to be acting. When the crew traveled to Thailand and Macau, the two were often seen disappearing for hours, returning with bright smiles and tousled hair. The pair was later spotted dancing closely at Red Eye Grill in New York, wrapped around each other tighter than packing tape, one witness described. The tabloids exploded, claiming that Anne's relationship with Vaughn was merely a cover-up to protect her real love for Ellen and salvage her public image. But no explanation made things any clearer. Ellen was heartbroken as intimate photos of Anne and Vince spread across the press, while Anne herself seemed to lose all sense of direction between reality and performance. In a later interview, Anne spoke bitterly. "They told me I couldn't get work because I was gay. But why would that destroy my career? I still don't understand." In Los Angeles magazine, she went even further, admitting she wasn't sure about her own sexuality. "I'm something else entirely. I don't even know what I am anymore." Perhaps that statement captured Anne Heche better than anything else. A complex, conflicted soul endlessly searching for love and identity. After parting ways with Ellen, she spiraled once more into emotional chaos. While directing a documentary about Ellen's comedy tour, Anne met cameraman Coleman Coley LaFoon, and once again, she fell in love. This new romance sparked another wave of criticism, but it also made people wonder, maybe Anne wasn't crazy at all. Maybe she was simply too honest for a world built on illusion. In late 2001, Anne Heche, once praised as one of Hollywood's rare and luminous talents, shocked the world with a raw confession. "I believe I was insane for all those years." It wasn't a sign of weakness. It was a desperate cry for salvation from a woman who had walked through the abyss of her own soul. After years of turmoil and a career spiraling out of control, Anne didn't choose denial. She chose confrontation. She began a brutal, deeply personal journey toward healing, one that no one else could take for her. Anne turned to unconventional forms of therapy that few would dare to try, from Reiki and bodywork and somatic therapy to psychedelic-assisted healing sessions. Each time she unlocked another layer of memory, she faced another storm. What surfaced wasn't just pain, it was the hell buried in her past. On Larry King Live, Anne finally revealed the truth that left millions speechless. Her own father, Donald Joe Heche, had repeatedly abused her as a child. "I have proof," she said, her voice trembling, but her eyes finally free of fear. The shock didn't come only from the crime itself, but from a reporter's haunting question. How could a gay man rape his daughter? Anne answered, "I don't think he was just gay. He was a deviant. He had to hide who he was, and that secrecy turned him into a monster." That statement was more than an accusation. It was the key to understanding the chaos of her life, the erratic behavior, the hallucinations, and the day she wandered into the California desert, knocked on a stranger's door, and introduced herself as Celestia. Anne explained that Celestia, the alternate personality she had spoken of, wasn't a fabrication. It was a survival mechanism, the final shield that kept her alive through years of torment. In the imaginary world she called the fourth dimension, Anne found refuge, a place where no one could hurt her anymore. But to truly heal, she knew she had to step out of that world. Her memoir became an act of cleansing, though it cost her the collapse of her family ties. Her mother, the one person Anne had hoped would finally understand, chose denial instead. "She didn't believe me. She chose silence," Anne wrote. That silence cut deeper than any wound from the past, because the mother she wanted to save stood on the side of darkness. Anne Heche once said, "If I don't speak, I'll die in silence." That line wasn't just a confession. It was an explosion that shattered the walls of silence that had imprisoned her since childhood. In her shocking memoir, Anne recalled the moment she presented proof of her father's sickening abuse to her mother, a sexually transmitted infection that a 13-year-old girl could never have understood. But instead of reacting with horror or trying to protect her daughter, her mother calmly replied that it was just a diaper rash. To Anne, those words cut like a knife. She wrote, "Diaper rash doesn't cause open, bleeding sores like that." From that moment on, a part of Anne's trust died. She realized that no one in her family wanted to face the truth. Her mother, Anne Heche, a devout evangelical Christian, was the first to deny it. Years later, when the memoir was published and the public began to react, Nancy fired back in outrage. "I'm trying to find a place for myself in this story, where I don't feel insulted or defamed, but I can't find one among all those lies and blasphemies." Those words slammed the door on any chance of reconciliation. Mother and daughter never spoke again. But Nancy wasn't the only one who doubted Anne's account. One of Anne's sisters came forward, claiming that even Anne herself sometimes questioned her own memories. "I remember Anne once admitting she didn't know what was real and what was imagined," she said. "I believe Anne's memories of our father are false." It was a double wound. First to be violated, and then to be doubted about the violation itself. When Anne's memoir was released, people talked more about the inconsistencies in her story than about the child who had been abused. And to make it worse, her relatives publicly defended Nancy, insisting she had known nothing of the horrors within their home. Meanwhile, Anne was left standing alone, caught between public scrutiny and the ghosts of her past. In an interview with the New York Times, Anne refused to take back a single word. She looked straight into the camera, her voice calm but laced with bitterness. "My mother has lived a tragic life. She lost 3 of her 5 children and her husband. Her attempt to convert homosexuals to heterosexuals is just her way of escaping her real pain." The remark sent chills through many. But perhaps it was the most honest thing Anne had ever said about the collapse of her family. Faith used as a curtain to hide fear, and silence mistaken for virtue. Indeed, Anne Heche went on to become a Christian therapist who specialized in helping people overcome homosexual tendencies. Anne, scarred yet defiant, chose a different path, through art. She wrote and starred in a short film about a porn actress whose body was engraved with verses from the Bible. "The film is a metaphor for my life," she said, "full of sin, repentance, and the search for redemption." But Anne's journey towards self-understanding was never easy. Throughout the 2000s, she continued to exorcise the demons in her mind through storytelling, writing, and acting. During that time, she married cameraman and director Coley LaFoon, an ordinary man who brought her a fleeting sense of peace. They had a son together, and for a brief moment, it seemed Anne had finally found a place to rest. But the darkness within her never truly went away. In 2006, while filming the romantic comedy Men in Trees, Anne met actor James Tupper. The show was lighthearted and charming, but fate chose that moment to repeat its cruel pattern. Not long after the series premiered, both Anne and Tupper filed for divorce from their respective spouses. They found each other amid the wreckage of their broken marriages, and began yet another chapter filled with chaos and passion. Anne finalized her divorce from Coley LaFoon in early 2007, paying over $500,000 to buy her freedom. The press called it the price of peace, but for Anne, no freedom ever came without a hollow ache. 2 years later, she starred in Spread, the steamy drama alongside Ashton Kutcher, known for its provocative love scenes. This time, Anne wasn't afraid. On screen, she was uninhibited, fearless, and more authentic than ever. In an interview, she said, "I'm no longer ashamed of my body. It's proof that I survived." When asked about her daring scenes with Kutcher, Anne laughed and said, "I can say I've gone further than ever before in this film. Why didn't I do this when I was 22? After years of fading fame, she was determined to fight her way back in the brutal world of Hollywood. She took on every role she could: television, stage, indie films, small projects with her partner James Tupper. On screen, she burned brightly. Off screen, she remained a restless, unyielding soul. During a promotional tour for Catfight, Anne appeared with director Onur Tukel on Doug Benson's podcast. It started lighthearted, full of laughter, but midway through, Anne began acting in a strange, almost playful yet unsettling way that forced the interview to end abruptly. Both she and the director were asked to leave the studio. The incident became gossip fodder. People mocked, speculated, and pitied her. But perhaps only those who had ever stared into the abyss could truly understand. Sometimes, what the world calls madness is nothing more than the scar of a soul that has survived too many blows. In early August 2022, Anne Heche's long and turbulent journey came to an end in a way no one could have imagined. On a scorching afternoon in Los Angeles, she drove her silver-blue Mini Clubman through familiar streets. No one knows exactly what happened, a momentary lapse or a sudden impulse. The car suddenly crashed into the garage of a nearby house. The sound of the impact echoed sharply, but moments later, she reversed out and drove away, as if trying to escape from herself. Soon after, Anne collided with a Jaguar. The crash was so violent that bystanders froze in disbelief, yet she still didn't stop. A doorbell camera from a nearby home captured her final moments behind the wheel. The car shot past like an arrow, disappearing from frame just seconds before a thunderous explosion filled the air. The Mini tore through more than 30 feet into a home, trapped amid flames and suffocating smoke. The fire devoured everything: the walls, the roof, the furniture, and the car itself. When firefighters arrived, they had no idea that buried inside the wreckage was a once-celebrated Hollywood star. It took 59 firefighters nearly 45 minutes to pull Anne from the inferno. She suffered severe burns and critical lung injuries from smoke inhalation. But the most haunting image came from footage showing her still moving, struggling on the stretcher, as if her soul refused to leave her body. 9 days later, every miracle faded away. Anne Heche passed away at the age of 53. The press called it a tragic end to a complex talent. But to those who loved her, it was the loss of a woman who dared to live truthfully, to love fiercely, to hurt deeply, and to tell her story without fear. She once said, "People always ask why I tell the truth about my life. Because I lived in lies for too long, and from that, good or bad, I gave birth to something new: truth and love." Anne left behind 2 sons, the living pieces of a heart that had been shattered, yet continued to beat with strength until the very end. People may forget her roles, or the scandals that once surrounded her, but they will never forget the woman who lived like fire, wild, impulsive, yet always shining in her own darkness. In the glittering world of Hollywood, where fame often hides pain, Anne Heche stood as a haunting reminder of the opposite truth. Behind every radiant smile, there might be a soul silently crying for help.